Hey, welcome to Sticks and Picks. I'm Jeff Antoon, your moderator. We're here with Neil, Jamal, Marcus to talk to you about the top Heisman seasons of all time. So we're going to do a tournament style this time, meaning we're not going to pick a top five. What we're going to do is we rank them. We pick two each, and then we rank them based on consensus. Now, again, we're not professionals, but what we're doing here is we're trying to pick the best season of all time by comparing stats. So here's how we have the breakdown. We have number 1, Tony Dorsett versus Rashaan Salaam. We have number 2, Barry Sanders versus Marcus Mariota. We have number 3, Marcus Allen versus number 6, Andre Ware. And we have number 4, O.J. Simpson versus number 5, Ricky Williams. I'm going to kick off the first one, number 1 versus 8. Tony Dorsett, 1976, University of Pitt. They won the national title that year, and I'll explain a little more in terms of stats, versus Rashaan Salaam, 1994. They ended up, I think, ranked number 3 in the nation that year. So let's talk about statistics. In terms of Tony Dorsett, 370 attempts in 12 games, 2,150 yards, 5.8 average, 22 touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, versus Rashaan Salaam's 1994 season, 298 yards, which is 72 less carries, 2,055 yards, which is about 95 less, but a better average at 6.9 average per carry. He had 24 rushing touchdowns, but no receiving touchdowns, but he did have about 230 yards more in the air. So those are the two that we have here.
Yeah.
In terms of intangibles, I mean, I can give you a little more. Here's some Tony Dorsett numbers. He set the NCAA career rushing record, the career rushing record at one that stood for 22 seasons. He also tied 18 collegiate rushing records, more than any other player ever. And in his career, he has the all-time career rushing records at 6,000 yards that stood for 22 years. And he won the national title. I think that's a big one as well.
Big one.
Yeah,
With Rashaan Salaam, a little background to it, he's the 4th college running back in 1994 to get over 2,000 yards in one season. He had 4 consecutive 200-yard rushing games, and I have to say this, we are in Austin, Texas. He set a school record with 362 total yards versus the University of Texas. And the end of the season ranked number 3. So there's the stats for those guys. Anybody want to throw in anything that they know about these two before we go to the vote?
I believe, both schools wasn't that, I guess, of a juggernaut. So Colorado, they had Cordell Stewart.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
other than that, that's about it. So
both were not college football universities.
Yeah,
right.
These aren't prestigious perennial powerhouse programs that we're looking at.
But their individual outings, I mean, I'm a big guy on era, so, I mean, it looks like Rashaan Salaam, kind of edged him.
Well, he had 4 consecutive 200-yard games, but the last 7 games of Tony Dorsett's college career, he averaged 212.1.
Yeah.
That, to me, in itself is pretty amazing. And look at the opponents. Miami, 227, Navy, 180, Syracuse 241, Army 212, West Virginia 199, Penn State 224, and in the bowl game against Georgia to win the national title 202.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's impressive.
So we do have a fact checker. We got a new fact checker with us today, Jordan. Jordan, do you have anything for us?
A couple things to note. From scrimmage, Salaam bested Dorsett by almost 1.5 yards per attempt. So he averaged 7.3 from scrimmage, where Dorsett was 5.9. Now, Dorsett did carry his team to the national championship almost single-handedly. His quarterback only threw 4,000 yards, whereas Rashaan Salaam had Cordell Stewart, who threw for 2,000 yards and ran for almost 700.
Okay.
Wow. Salaam was able to still get 2,055 yards with Cordell running that much.
Wow.
But Dorsett was the man that picked that year.
Okay.
Carried it. Awesome.
Let's go to the vote. Neil, what do you got?
I'm going to have to go with Tony Dorsett.
So Tony Dorsett, 1 vote.
Yeah.
Marcus?
Dorsett.
Dorsett with 2. I'll be the tiebreaker because it's the one I presented. Jamal, what do you got?
I got to go with Tony.
Okay, so Tony Dorsett will win that round. He moves on to the semifinals. Our next category, next pairing that we're going to rank, or we're going to discuss, is Barry Sanders at number 2 versus number 7 ranked Marcus Mariota. For this one, we're going to go over to Neil.
Excellent. So we're looking at, two extremely prolific seasons as far as college football is concerned. You have 1988, Barry Sanders, 344 attempts, 2,628 yards, averaged 7.6 yards per carry, and a monstrous 37 touchdowns that season, which is insane in 12 games. That just is crazy. I can't even believe they did that. Looking at Marcus Mariota, though, definitely was no slouch in his Heisman Trophy winning year either. You were looking at 445 attempts, 304 completions, 4,454 passing yards, and 42 touchdowns with only 4 interceptions. So he ended the season with a 10-to-1 interception to touchdown or touchdown to interception ratio, which is insane at that point. Those are the basic stats that I have on those two at this point in time. I mean, to me, I've always got to put Barry Sanders up there as number one, but I definitely think that there's a good argument for Mariota with this as well.
Question, is Barry Sanders, is those 37 touchdowns, is that the most ever for a running back in college?
I believe so. Can we confirm that?
Yes, number one all time.
Number one all time,
Number
Barry
one
Sanders.
all time.
Mariota, do we know if that's the most all time? That's 40.
No, there's been, I think,
Ty Detmer.
No, it wasn't Ty Detmer. I think it was
Andre Ware had 40.
Jordan, what do you got?
If we take in Mariota's total touchdowns, which includes his rushing touchdowns, where he had 26 rushing touchdowns that year, he has 57 for the season, which was third all time.
Oh, God. Okay.
Wow.
This is a tough one. Okay. How about programs, college football programs here? We're looking at Oklahoma State versus University of Oregon. Which one was a product of a system? Which one actually did it based on their ability?
I believe Oregon was the system.
So Chip Kelly and the system?
The mad scientist, Chip Kelly. I mean, that system. But it wasn't, I didn't think it lasted that long either.
Okay.
You know?
They didn't win any national titles at Oregon, did they?
Didn't win any national titles. Won a couple Pac-12 championships.
Yeah.
So Barry, you think, did it on his own? Those numbers were on his own?
Definitely.
Again, we're talking college, but if you look at the man's NFL career, there's no argument what he can do on his own.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So
and plus, also, I'm sorry to cut you off, he was behind Thurman Thomas, too.
Not his Heisman year.
Not his Heisman. I'm talking about the previous year.
Okay.
Yeah, the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah, and then for him to come out, that was like his basically.
That was
I
the
can
one
play
year
too.
that
He only had
played.
325 yards his freshman year, and his sophomore year had 603.
Yeah, and
That's
then he
a huge
had
improvement.
2,600. Yeah, he rushed for 2,000 more yards than he did
Behind
his
a
sophomore
great
year.
Thurman Thomas. So
Okay.
that says a lot.
Do you need to add anything?
No.
Okay, let's go to the vote. Marcus, you're leading us off. What do you got in this one? Sanders or Mariota? Sanders. Jamal?
Mr. Pontiac Silverdome, Sanders.
You can go with Sanders. I'm going to throw a wrench in the system. I'm going to go with the system guy, Mariota. I'm going to leave it to you to break it or give the win to Barry Sanders, number 2 ranked.
That's a good pick, though.
man.
That's a good pick for you.
That's a tough one. I mean, there may be some bias in this. I don't know. I watched both of them play, but I mean, Barry Sanders was just amazing what he did, both on and off the field. He was just an outstanding player and an outstanding gentleman in that regard. So I got to go with Barry Sanders.
All right, Barry Sanders moves on to the semifinals. He will be facing the next category, which is Marcus Allen, ranked number 3 in our system, versus number 6, Andre Ware, University of Houston. And for this, we're going to go to Marcus.
Marcus, talking about Marcus Allen. Hey, all right.
All right, here we go.
Bias
alert. Bias alert.
Marcus Allen, 1981 Heisman Trophy winner. That year, he had 433 attempts. 2,427 yards. He averaged 5.6 yards a carry, 22 touchdowns. Andre Ware, 1989 Heisman Trophy winner. Attempts, 578 yards. 28 interceptions, 4,699 yards, 75 touchdowns. Is that correct, young fella?
No, that's career.
You're looking at career. He had 46 touchdowns.
46, I'm
and
sorry.
15 interceptions.
So career you're giving us. What's his total yardage?
His total yards that season was
4,699.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Both schools finished 14th for the season, but I wanted to add for Marcus Allen. 1981 year, he won the Consensus All-American Award, the Heisman Trophy Award, the Maxwell Award, also Pac-10 Player of the Year Award, Walter Camp Player of the Year Award. That in itself, to me, gives a nod to Marcus Allen. Not to mention he has a cool name.
Okay. Anybody want to throw out any stats? We talk about the systems here. Marcus Allen, 1981. This was, I mean, well, how many attempts did he have that year?
433.
So you're
That's
talking about a
lot.
workhorse. That's just crazy.
That's
but
crazy.
USC was running back you. It was,
I mean, he was touching the
student
ball
body
almost 30
left or
times
student
a
body
game.
right. I mean, how does he not get the yards?
Yeah, when you're averaging 30 attempts a game,
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to be that standout.
So the great football school.
The other thing is, too, I mean, I'm a USC fan all the way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Trojans, fight on, go Trojans, all the way, 110%. But the one thing that I can definitely say is I think that regardless of whether the season's amazing or not, I think that USC players have a tendency to get a little bit more recognition, especially back in that day when
Yeah.
media coverage
Automatically.
was
Sparse.
specifically just, TV. We didn't have social media, all these different things were, the internet, all this different stuff where you could find out, what players were doing. And USC gets a lot of credence. What Andre Ware did at the University of Houston, no coverage, no nothing like that. I mean, he had to get recognized by what he was doing on the field, not just on the fact that everybody was going to be watching the game on a
Okay.
Saturday.
So we see that it's two different types of universities. Let's go right to the vote here. So, Jamal, you lead us off on this first vote. You got
Well-
Allen or Ware?
I gotta go with Andre Ware, 63% completion rate.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with the non-system guy here, the one-hit wonder in a sense. I know we got David Klingler who came after Andre Ware, but I'm gonna vote the upset as well here, Andre Ware. That's pretty impressive to do that when University of Houston wasn't really great.
Yeah.
Even to this day, it's not really great. So Ware's got 2 votes. Neil, what do you got?
I have to go with Andre Ware as
Okay.
well. I mean, obviously my last argument probably stated my bias on that one, but
Yeah, it was a big bias alert.
Big
All right,
bias,
so we
but
got
just in the way that I was
we
looking
got
at it.
Andre Ware in the semis as well. Our last grouping will be number 4 O.J. Simpson versus number 5 Ricky Williams. For that, I'm going to go to Jamal.
The juiciest guy in America, Mr. O.J. Simpson. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. 1968 senior, USC. 383 attempts, 1880 in yardage, 4.9 average per carry, 23 touchdowns. Pretty impressive. But if you go to the newer era, Ricky Williams, 1998 senior at Texas, 361 as far as attempts goes, 2,124 yards, 5.9 average per carry in yards, and 27 TDs. I'm a big guy with era, so I believe in 1968, the athleticism of like DBs and linebackers wasn't as prominent as if you fast forward 30 years later in Ricky Williams. They were stronger, they were faster, more agile. So I believe that what Ricky Williams did was very, very profound, and he was a strong back. He was a tough nose, knock you over and bulldoze you, but he was also had that getaway speed as well. O.J. Simpson, he also was a big back, 6'2", very elusive. He hit some on nose-to-nose contact, but it wasn't as physical.
And he was good with his hands, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was very good with his. I didn't say it, folks. I didn't say it. But
It's too soon.
I wanted to check something else out with Jordan. What was their production from line of scrimmage,
If
each
we take their
individual?
line of scrimmage production, O.J. Simpson had 409 plays where he got the ball, 383 attempts, 26 receptions. He had 2,091 yards for a 5.1 average of 23 touchdowns. Now, as you mentioned, Ricky had the bigger and faster linebackers, and he had 385 touches, which included 24 receptions, for a total of 2,386 yards at a 6.2 average with 28 touchdowns.
Wow.
I already know who I'm voting for here. This is
I mean, well, I'll go last.
Okay, so let's start this off. Marcus.
Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams, Neil.
Oh, Ricky Williams.
I'm going to do the. I don't know if it's an upset. I mean, these two were kind
Yeah,
of
it's not
paired so
really-
close
yeah.
together. I'm going to give it to UT and Ricky Williams for that season as well. So that's 3 wins. 3 votes. He's now in the semi versus. So we have Tony Dorsett versus Ricky Williams in one bracket. We have Barry Sanders versus Andre Ware. This round will be a lot faster because we've already covered the stats. So it's pretty much going to go right to the vote. So let's look at Tony Dorsett versus Ricky Williams. Anybody got anything they want to throw out here? We don't need to go through stats again. I mean, we can refresh on the stats because I had Tony Dorsett.
We could do a little bit more of a comparison on, I guess, just what they did.
In the NFL.
No.
We're doing Heisman Trophy, but I get it. Go ahead and tell us what your NFL ideas. Go ahead.
I mean, I think that if we
I think it plays a factor.
yeah, it does. I mean, what we'll do is, how did they affect the teams that they went into it at that next level? Were they successful? What did they accomplish when they went to the next level?
Okay.
I, hands down for me, between Ricky and Dorsett, I'll have to go with Dorsett.
Okay, but we know what hurt Ricky in the NFL. Marijuana killed him. It seems like he even quit for a while.
I don't think it was the weed that killed him. I think it was the NFL stance on weed that
sorry.
killed him. Because he was still a great running back.
Right. So Tony Dorsett, in
Yes.
terms of that, I would give that to Tony as well. But I still think Ricky's upside was huge.
He had the potential, but I just don't think the drive was there.
Yeah.
But
he was
I mean,
motivated.
look at Tony Dorsett. I mean, he was awesome. Just an amazing running back.
And he was small. He was wasn't he? He was like
He was-
5'8".
I don't even think he weighed like 200 pounds either.
175, I think
Yeah.
it was.
And
Could
if
you
you look
check
at the
that
guy,
for
he
us,
was
Jennifer?
not. He was not a large stature of a man.
I do want to, before we go to the vote on this, I want to make sure you guys understand the last 7 games. Tony Dorsett averaged 212 yards.
Yes, he did.
Fantasy people out there would love this. Let's go to the vote. I mean, unless we have our statistic on the height of Tony Dorsett.
He's 5'11", 192.
Wow.
Okay.
And what was Ricky Williams?
was like
Wasn't much taller, but just outweighed him.
Yes, he
220
he was-
maybe?
He was stout, yeah.
But
He was
again,
big,
the
big guy,
speed,
big
of
guy.
those guys, especially like you're saying, in today's, it's like science has changed things. It seems.
Yeah.
And
5'10", 226.
yeah,
So-
It's
outweighed him
short.
by 40 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the vote. Neil, who do you go vote for to get to the finals? Dorsett or Williams?
99 3/4 yards.
Come on.
Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett. Okay. What do you got, Marcus?
Tony Dorsett, 33, man.
I'm going to go with Tony Dorsett, so that negates your vote on this, unless you want to throw it out there.
Doesn't count.
It doesn't count, but I go with Tony Dorsett.
Okay, so 4-0, Tony Dorsett goes into the final round. We're going to be updating it on the screen in a little bit. Let's talk Barry Sanders versus Andre Ware. So let's kick this. Anybody want to kick this off in terms of?
I do.
Go ahead. Give us what you got.
Barry Sanders, I mean, a total 37 TDs. I mean, as a running back.
As a running back.
We're not talking about passing, folks. We're talking about running the ball in the end zone. Go ahead, George.
Don't forget to add his 2 returning touchdowns. He had 1 kick return and 1 punt return.
Wow.
So 39.
39 total as a running back. And we're not even going to talk about what he did at the Pontiac Silverdome. We're not going to even talk about how he made the Cowboys look crazy and all the other linemen and linebackers. We're not going to talk about that, but we're just talking about Heisman right now.
Okay.
Mr. Pontiac Silverdome himself. I mean, that's a great – I mean, that year was great for him. Even coming – and I have to bring this back up, folks. Even coming after Thurman Thomas.
Yeah. Two straight back-to-back great NFL running backs as well. So.
And then when he had his breakout year, you see what he did.
Right.
So it was like a beast just in a cage waiting to be released. So
both guys came from a system that wasn't – the programs aren't great. I would say Oklahoma State's a lot better than University of
it was
Houston.
a little bit better than Houston. But.
And Andre Ware's NFL career, to go back to your line, not the greatest. I think he went to the CFL. I think he went into boxing, too.
Very big bust. He was a bust.
The biggest bust.
All right.
That,
Bust.
yeah, he was probably. We might have to do a top five
Anybody-
biggest busts.
Yeah,
of
we'll
all
do that
time.
later on. But anybody,
bust, but
does anybody want to add anything else?
No,
Okay, let's go to the vote. Marcus, lead us off.
Barry Sanders.
I'll go Barry Sanders.
Sanders.
Sanders and?
Sanders.
So we got Barry Sanders versus Tony Dorsett in the finals.
Oh, this.
Ooh, this is Detroit versus Dallas.
Pittsburgh.
Detroit
This is
versus
Pittsburgh versus Oklahoma State. Okay.
Okay, so
No, we got to
we
take
got
it
number
further.
1 versus number 2. It didn't seem like it was a.
Number 1 versus number 2.
This is
Okay, so now-
it comes down to what?
Let's
Fellas.
How many touchdowns for Tony Dorsett the year he won? How many did he have?
22.
Wow.
And how many did Barry have?
37.
Rushing.
We're not even.
Okay,
you
wait,
shouldn't
wait,
have
wait.
picked that part of the stat.
National
You
title.
shouldn't have did that.
National title.
For Pittsburgh.
212 last 7 games for Tony Dorsett. He seemed to win the national title on his back.
Yes.
Barry Sanders seemed to, their teams were in shootouts. It was like 43-40. Barry had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 or 3 a game.
Did Barry win the national championship that year?
No.
They won to the Holiday Bowl.
And they ranked 15th.
Wyoming. They finished 11th.
11th.
Wyoming?
You have my answer.
Wyoming had a
Okay.
D1.
Now, do you have your? Now, hold on, folks. It's a bias alert coming on
You
from
have
me,
my answer.
Mr. Pontiac, Detroit Lion alum.
Awesome guy.
Yes.
Awesome guy.
I'm sorry. I mean, are we going on stats? Because Heisman is based.
Effectiveness.
Heisman is based on individuality.
Okay.
Not on if I won because there's been people that won the Heisman and then win the national championship.
So Tony Dorsett did win his Heisman year.
Yes.
He won the He Is Man award, and he took his team on his back to the championship. Did they win that game?
Yes, they beat Georgia.
Come on, man. It's Tony
Okay,
Dorsett.
so we know his vote is Tony Dorsett.
Why is it? Hold on, no, hold on.
Done, man.
Why is it your vote? What is it because he?
Because what he did allowed his team to win the national
And what else, sir?
That's enough, man.
So you're not going to reveal?
And he goes to Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Well, I mean,
God.
at least he's owning his bias as well. 'Cause
Okay,
He
so
never owns his
let's,
life.
let's take a vote right now and see if we can get anywhere. Who would you put out of this? Who's the best season of all time?
This is
Barry
tough.
Sanders.
It's hard.
This is a tough one.
very,
Tony
it's very
Dorsett.
hard.
It's definitely hard. But again, now
What
let's
makes
see
it
what comes
hard?
I mean,
into play.
I gotta look at, like, yes, so what? Tony Dorsett had a record that lasted,
22 years.
22 years.
18 collegiate rushing records, more
Barry
than anyone ever.
Sanders' record for most yards from scrimmage lasted 19. So,
I mean,
212 yards average last 7
we know where
games.
Jeff
Man.
is going. We know where
Yeah,
Jeff is going, man.
That to me blew me out of the
Come on.
water, man. If I had a running back as good as
That-
that.
okay, but how many
not?
yards did Tony Dorsett have that year?
over 2,000.
No, specifically. We got to go specific.
2150.
2150.
Versus-
Barry had 2,628, and he averaged 7.6 yards per carry.
Did he take his team anywhere? Did anyone else benefit from those yardage?
Well, this is the opinion.
They did.
This is
Did
the
they go to
opinion.
the
Some
next-
people went to the NFL from
But did they?
blocking for him.
But did
I'm
they-
pretty sure.
Sanders did this. He got Mike Gundy a job. Mike Gundy was the quarterback at Oklahoma State at the
Come
time,
on.
and if it wasn't for Barry
Man,
Sanders,
thank
Mike
you
Gundy
for
was
that.
the head coach of Oklahoma State.
So he employed people. He got people employed.
That was
We know
great.
your vote. You don't have to fight for your vote anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me ask. It sounds like you guys are leaning towards the Detroit
Don't
Lion.
encourage him. Don't encourage
Why
him.
is it?
I'm torn, man.
Okay,
It's
so
gonna be-
It's tough for Neil
I need to get
because
your vote. I'm gonna get your vote. Give me
you
your
know
vote.
who I'm going with.
Okay, so you're obviously going for Barry Sanders.
You already know that.
Okay, so we have 1-1 at this point. Fact check, Jordan.
Last one. And what was your fact on Tony Dorsett? Refresh the last 7 games. He did what?
He averaged 212.
Okay. In his last 4 games, Barry Sanders went 312, 293, 332, and 222.
Woo!
4 games, not 7.
But
3 games.
The last
he almost
four.
rushed for 300 yards.
Oh, God. Jay.
So he rushed for 1,000
Damn,
yards
Barry.
in like the last
In
4
the last
games.
4 games.
In the last 4 games
Yeah.
of the season, he rushed for 1,000 yards, man.
Wow.
Okay, my only
Thank you,
question
Jordan.
here. My only
Who were
question
those
to this
games
is
against?
yes. And did they win the games?
Yeah, I mean,
and was it a
are we
shootout?
talking like
They won
are we
all the
talking like
games.
post-death penalty
It was-
SMU or
okay.
what?
All right, granted, it was Kansas, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and then Wyoming in the Holiday Bowl.
Doesn't count.
Okay, so
Why
we got
doesn't
it's
it
1-1.
count?
Neil, who do you got?
Oh my God!
Come on, Neil. Do the right thing.
You heard what just happened.
We have a tiebreaker off screen.
Individuality,
That's so hard,
Neil.
man.
Don't go
Individuality
kicking him under the
award.
table.
It's
Don't go
not a
kicking him under
team
the table,
award.
bitch.
It's an individuality
Don't
award.
kick him under the table.
I gotta go with the guy that still to this day has a record in college football, and that's Barry Sanders, man.
Okay, he's got Barry Sanders. I'm taking Tony Dorsett.
Hey.
Number
Oh, it's a
one. Now we got
tiebreaker.
a 2-2. We're going to go to off screen to our
Why
man
don't we
Jordan for a fact check, unless he's going to make this. If he makes this,
If I make
right now,
this shot,
if he makes this shot, which you're not
It's
going to be able to
Barry.
It
see,
won't happen.
if I make this
won't
shot,
happen.
folks,
It won't happen.
listen. If I
won't
make
happen.
this,
Yeah.
no, hey, hold on. See, they already
gonna
trying
block
to
it.
do something.
You know
So
what?
let's see.
They're gonna go Matumbo on him, huh?
Oh!
Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett's your number one, guys.
Tony Dorsett is our number 1. Thanks for joining today, Sticks and Picks Podcast.
Join us next time when we talk about the biggest falls from grace in sporting history.
We want to thank the guys here at Banner House, 183 North location. We're going to thank Mr. Dave and Jim and all the staff for allowing us to bring this to you guys, and hopefully you guys tune in again.
And if you do get a chance to come up here to Havana House, make sure to check out the 888 by Illusion, Candela wrapped one. It's definitely a kind of a medium-bodied smoke, but it has a good sweetness of the Candela wrapper on it. And check it out, about $10 to $12 depending on where you go.
Check the comment section below. Like and subscribe to our page.
We're Sticks and Picks.